On today's episode, we have Steven Galanis, who is the CEO of Cameo. So if you're not familiar with Cameo, it's a website. There's a bunch of celebrities that are on it. Like there's like Chuck Norris is on there. He's got reality TV stars on there. You've got like famous athletes. And so you can go and hire celebrities to record like a personalized video for you. So you can use it to like send your mom happy birthday or like invite everybody to your wedding. I saw someone on YouTube like have Kenny G invite everybody to their wedding.
It's the best.
And also use it to like have promotion for your small business, like celebrities promote your small business. So you've built something really fascinating, and I want to talk to you about this. Welcome to Bossy, Steven.
First off, thank you for having me. And with that intro, I don't even know what I'm getting interviewed for. I feel like you could do that job perfectly.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the biggest thing that I want to talk to you about today is about PR and getting press for your business, for your small business, for your medium-sized business. Because I know that a lot of entrepreneurs are trying to figure this out, and it looks like it's like this mythical thing that maybe you have to have like a humongous team for or like whatever that is. But you've done a really good job getting press for your business, at least from the outside, it looks like.
Yes.
Do you feel like you've done a good job getting press for the business?
Oh, yeah. I think that one thing that we've been very blessed with at Cameo, especially because of not just who we work with. Obviously, you know, it's always interesting to write about a Bethany Frankel or a Snoop Dogg or a Tony Hawk, but it's the magical moments that the product produces, and it just elicits such reaction that the stories are incredible. Like just this past week, I saw something that went viral on Reddit, and this guy posted a cameo he'd bought from Batman, the actor that played Batman back in 2020, and he said that that video had saved him from committing suicide multiple times.
Wow.
Right? And it's like, those are the powerful stories that it just, when you like we're a storytelling company, and I think like what we do, it mixes sports and entertainment, and you know we always say we don't make pop culture, but we reflect it, and we really try to move at that speed as well.
So what's the most like viral PR moment that you guys have had as a company?
So the most viral PR moment that we had, well, we're having one right now, you know, kind of interestingly, like it's not the biggest we've ever had, but I'll give you a good example.
Okay.
So I've been, and my executive team have been thinking for the last 4 years, like we'd like to get people back into office more, but like, you know, what's the best or right way to do it? And over the, you know, past year, we'd started playing around with this idea of like, what if we paid our in-office employees more than we did with the people that were working remote? So like we're not going to force you, but if you come in, we will pay you more because we are asking more out of you. You're commuting, you know, when you're working from home, like you can be in your pajamas, but if you're working in the office, you got to
put some clothes on.
Like we literally are asking more out of you. So, you know, over the past year, I've been thinking a lot about this, and just last week, starting Monday, last week we announced it, but on Monday, we brought everybody back in Chicagoland, so they're back 4 days a week now, and we gave them a $10,000 raise.
How much of your decision, because I like this example, by the way, because it's not just like, oh, we have sexy celebrities, so people are just inherently going to write PR about us.
Right.
This is an example of something that's like on surface level, not that sexy. Like we incentivized our employees to come back into the office.
Right.
And so if you're listening to this and you're like running a small business and you're like, how do I figure out how to get PR on something that's not that sexy? Like this is a really good example.
Yeah.
So how much of the 10K number that you were thinking about was like, this will sound good to the team, and how much of it was like, this also would sound good so that we can share it publicly as well?
Yeah, the way, just as we were literally thinking about the extra costs it take to come in the office, we felt like anywhere between 6,000 and 12,000 would have been like sufficient to do it.
Got it. Okay.
And that's where it was like, okay, like maybe on the 6th end we could do it, and that's a cost to us, but like does $6,000 move the needle if somebody's making 200,000? You know, maybe not as much, but that's why we just like that round number, and it worked, and it's an easy story to tell. And a lot of what we do at Cameo, like we're a very values-driven company. And, you know, our first core value is roll out the red carpet. We want anybody that interacts with anyone on our team, our employees, they should feel like they're walking down the red carpet at the Oscars anytime they're interacting with the brand.
And you guys do really like sexy things like this in general.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like I saw that you guys had like the Cameo Cybertruck that feels like a rollout, the red carpet. Can you tell us the story? Because this is also maybe another PR move.
Totally.
What is the story about having this Cybertruck, and like how did that actually drive something for the business, or was it mainly cool points?
Yeah, look, so I was one of the first, I don't know why or how, like, I think the day that the Cybertrucks, they announced
You're
it.
the Cybertruck bro.
I put my deposit down, it was like $100 and it was like 3 years ago. And then you kind of forgot about it. And I don't know if it's because I run Cameo or why, but.
Wait, you actually drive one yourself?
Yeah, oh yeah. But
so let me say this really quickly.
The Cameo Cybertruck.
Yeah.
That's my only car.
That's your car.
That's the only car that I have.
Wait, okay. I didn't realize this was your car. So you buy the Cybertruck and then you put your own branding on it, and then there's like a text. You can like text the number. It has like the logo on it, and you can text a number. Like what is it? Text truck to a certain number.
It's the best billboard. I mean, we've. This summer I actually drove it from Chicago to the Hamptons, and we drove it through New York City, and people are texting and going viral. But we just brought it down to Super Bowl because Super Bowl is always a great time for us to see our talent.
Yeah.
And we were doing things like airport pickups. So if you know AJ and Big Justice, like the Costco guys, we picked them up from the airport, and somebody just saw them in the Cameo Cybertruck driving through New Orleans, and all of a sudden that thing went super viral on TikTok, and that wasn't even our content. So that's exactly the type of move that we make we do that to build buzz. And I was fortunate that I had one of the first numbers called. So I had a Cybertruck kind of before anybody. I think it was like the third one in Illinois, period. And by the time we brought it down, nobody had wrapped theirs before like that. And now, when I was at Super Bowl, I must have seen 10 to 15 other ones that were like wrapped like that. And these are just becoming big billboards.
Is there a way that you can track that you are tracking that? I'm sure you can, because people can text a number if they see the car. They can text a number, and maybe they'll get information about Cameo. Is that like, we're trying to track the metrics to see the ROI of this move, or is it not really like that, and you're not trying to calculate the ROI that way?
I think about a company like Hims back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Like, you used to go down the subway in New York, and they had like the coolest ads. It was like, there's a cactus, and it's like erectile dysfunction, like get Hims.
Yeah.
And you just like noticed it. And one of the things that we love to do is like, we're all about surprise and delight. So, you don't expect to see that Cameo truck, and then all of a sudden it's parked. And one of the upsides of it that I've realized is when I go valet the car, they always leave it in front. And then if you want to track metrics, like go look at how many Sentry notifications there are for people that got right in it, and they're taking pictures and they're posting about it. And again, like that's turning, our brand activation, they're basically a commercial for us now. When they're posting it on their Instagram or their TikTok and they're sharing it out, that's just spreading our brand.
This is something that I personally struggle with, right? The difference between like branding that you do and like conversion marketing that you can track, and that you're like those are different avenues and different paths. And sometimes I think I'm hesitant to do a brand marketing thing because I'm like, well, how are we going to track it? What are the numbers?
Right.
And I'm hearing you kind of, as I read between the lines of what you're saying, you're kind of saying like, it's not about that. That's not the whole point. People are posting, people are sharing. It's brand awareness. And yeah, you can track some things around that, but that's not the like core focus.
And it's like, and sometimes these things evolve, right? So like, I had the opportunity to get this. I'm like, of course I'm going to wrap it. Like I wear a Cameo shirt almost every day. So like this is just an extension now. And and especially when you're in a consumer business, like, I remember when we were driving cross country in the truck, like I was at a truck stop in Ohio and doing the Tesla supercharger. And this mom's like, oh my God, we've been waiting for Bryce Harper to come back on Cameo, but he's unavailable. Like I met this woman in rural Pennsylvania, right?
But she saw you because of the truck. But
she saw it and she came up, and like, I want people, that's our brand. Like we always talk about at Cameo, like our brand is the person, let's say it's like the most exclusive party in the world, like somehow you sneak yourself in and then you look all the way in the back and you see like there's a back room with like a red cart with a red velvet rope in front, and all of a sudden every single person you've ever wanted to meet in your life is behind there. And then you make eye contact with someone you haven't seen since college. Like, them, you probably don't even think they remember you. They make eye contact. They like bring you up. They're like, Tara, come in, and they introduce you to every person you've ever wanted to meet. That's our brand ethos, and that's what we, if you had to personify like what Cameo is, it's that.
Yeah. This is like the public service announcement to all the entrepreneurs who are like, oh, I don't want to like post about my social media and like brag about my business and like tell a bunch of people about my business. Like Steven's car is wrapped with the name of his company. So at least post on social media, right?
Well,
Like you're showing us this.
And then the other thing too, it's like when you do something, whether it's a cool brand activation, something like the Cybertruck, it's like, what can you do on social to continue to magnify that? So I mentioned that we did airport pickups for a couple of our top talent at Super Bowl. That was so popular. We're now thinking about like, hey, when any of our talent are coming in because they have a game against the Bulls or they've got they're playing a concert and they got a comedy show, let's pick them up. And like maybe we'll have a podcast where like I'm in the car with them, driving them and we're recording like just these pickup conversations.
You're doing so many other things too. Like there was a NASDAQ billboard as well. How do things like that happen? I remember at some point someone like I received an email about like that's something that you can like buy and pay for. Yeah. And I think that's they have many friends who have like bought a spot in that. I think maybe it happens when you don't buy it too. Yeah. But like how do you get a NASDAQ billboard?
Typically, those happen. We've never bought one of those. Yeah. We did do a Times Square billboard, which I'll talk about right after, which was probably my favorite activation of all time.
Okay,
but this
so
is
some you can pay for, some
So and billboards are really interesting. But anyways, the NASDAQ ones tend to be after a big funding round or announcement.
Yeah, that was you guys had raised capital.
Yeah, we had raised capital, and then they're congratulating us. But the Times Square billboard we did. This must have been Christmas of 2019, was one of my favorite activations of all time.
Yeah.
So basically, when people get a Cameo, what we really want to see as the company and what the talent want to see is the reaction that the person you bought it for had, right? Yeah. So you buy your best friend's like favorite Real Housewife and she's freaking out. Like we want that video and then we want to send it to the talent. Like that is closing the loop for us of like the magic flywheel that makes Cameo go. And when we saw, so we had this idea for Christmas, send us your best reaction videos from the Christmas time and we'll put them on a 5,500 square foot billboard in Times Square for New Year's Eve.
Wow. Okay.
And the cool thing about billboards that I didn't know is while we bought this for 1 week, if somebody else doesn't buy the billboard, they just leave it up. So it ended up staying up for like 4 months. And we had this like Cameo billboard of real user-generated content from customer reaction videos out there. And then that became a thing. It was like people knew that they would see themselves on that and they'd go to Times Square and they took a picture, with their face on the billboard. So that's the type of stuff that we try to do that has this multiplier effect from a virality perspective.
And there's like a flywheel then of like you did some PR activity and people post it, which then like kind of circles around.
Again, it was because we were trying to encourage people to send their videos in more, and this was like another extra incentive. I'll tell you a really funny story from when we first started, because this is just so in our culture. Like me, Devin, Martin, my co-founders, we just know how to like get people excited.
And you think about this a lot. Like I have a theory that people who are really good at PR, usually it's not like they have, when they're starting out too, it's not like they have like some genius PR person that they hired. It's usually them. Like the people that I know that are best at PR, like they've trained their minds to think about how would this story work well? And I hear you talk about it, for example, with like the employee example where you're incentivizing people. There's like a range of numbers. From a business perspective, this range of numbers will be meaningful to our team. But this specific round number would also be meaningful to the team and make a good shareable story. And like you've trained your brain to think that way about how do we take stuff we're already doing, of course, but also make it storytelling.
Yeah, no, that's right. And look, my superpower as a CEO, one of them is PR, comms, storytelling. So that is that's what I'm at my best.
Yeah.
And, we don't have a fancy, crazy PR. Like I have a 0-person PR team. You're looking at the PR team right now.
This is always the case when I talk to people who are good at PR.
We've worked with this incredible team in Chicago, Jill Schmidt PR, that has been with us since literally we were a seed company. And by the way, when we got really big at one point, I had a huge comms team, and we had to go. They wanted the $40,000 a month, agency
retainer,
and it just like it wasn't as good. So it's just one of those things like I think it was so interesting. I was thinking about your interview with Allison like a couple episodes ago, and she's still like doing the social.
Yes.
Right. So it's like when you're CEO, there's certain things that you have to do, but like don't fire yourself from the superpower. Don't fire yourself from the thing that got you to where you got, right? Yeah. Now, it's all of our goals to, fire ourselves from as many jobs as we can and hire better people than us, but look,
don't fire yourself from the role you're good at.
If you're a founder that has a consumer product and found a way to break through the noise and get it in the zeitgeist, and it's not because you outspent people on Instagram or TikTok, it's because you figured out how to cut through the noise. Like, you can't lose that. And by the way, it hurts the company if you ever do.
So you guys also did like a campaign, or we were part of Biden's campaign and fundraising. So tell us how that worked, but also how did that happen? Did you guys pitch the Biden campaign? Did they come to you? How are you making these big moves?
So like right around that time, a lot of, especially a lot of people in the ex-Trump administration, like Trump administration 1 was like a reality show. If you remember, it's like everyone knew who was interviewing, and like people get fired on Twitter.
People are glued to the TV watching.
But they all kind of, because Trump's so famous, it actually made all of his people so famous. Yeah. So it was almost like a reality show. Yeah. Like it's government, but like they became famous in the same way a Real Housewife would become famous.
Totally.
So a lot of them, when they were done in the administration, they ended up coming on Cameo. So we started to have people like Rudy Giuliani and Sarah Palin and Sean Spicer, and then they kind of went viral. So the Biden campaign had come to us at the time and said, hey, do you think any celebrities would be interested in raising money and the proceeds go to the campaign? So we did that deal. We were super excited about it. We then offered the same thing to the Trump campaign. And at that point, even though there were so many like Republican-leaning politicians and political figures on Cameo, they just never got back to us. So we never were able to get that one done. But look, I think it's an amazing platform to fundraise on. It's really cool. Like if there's, especially if the candidates themselves come on at one point. Yeah. They're already like selling pictures at high priced dinners, or they're like.
So wait, the way it works is like if you're a celebrity and you want to help the Biden administration like raise money, you say, I will make custom personalized videos. People can buy those from me, and I'm donating that money through Cameo.
Think about like whether it's someone like a Kid Rock for Donald Trump or Beyonce for Kamala, like they could have. What they could have done is they could have actually like come on Cameo, and their proceeds could have gone, to that campaign. And it's something that we definitely want to make sure we're prioritizing going forward, especially as a lot of the most interesting politicians, whether it's like a JD Vance or an AOC, they have such a bigger social following today than they used to. And, Trump's kind of been the direct to consumer president. Yeah. He doesn't need the media to tell his story. Like,
but this is a good value prop for you, which is like if you need more direct to consumer ammo, you can come to us. We'll help you do that because we have celebrity. And if you're trying to celebrityify your whatever it is, right? It could be your campaign or something else, you can come to Cameo to do that.
Totally. But related and very interesting is the algorithms have really hurt people's ability to get their word out. Yeah. So one of the most stark examples of this, Snoop Dogg's one of our investors, and he did a holiday commercial with us probably 2-3 years ago. And he had 65 million followers on Instagram at the time. He posted this awesome video that went viral on, like on our own channels. Yeah. He posted it on his. How many views did it get?
Oh my gosh, a bunch.
200,000.
No, I thought we were going to be in the high millions. No. Wait. He posted a video. He posted it on his own organic.
People organically to his own channel, grid post on Instagram.
This is because Instagram's not showing anything to anybody at this point anymore.
This is the point, right? So what we're hearing from talent all the time is like there's a lot of anxiety that their content's not getting seen as much, or if they don't, your talk with Allison was all about this, right? Like if you don't nail that trend, like nobody's going to see that content. Yes. And the truth is, like in a world where direct-to-fan monetization is the way that a lot of creators are earning, earning their living, they need better reels upon which they can make sure that the people that follow them actually see their content and go do that. So a lot of the work we're doing at Cameo under the hood, behind the scenes, is like allowing talent to own, not rent their audience.
Yeah. I have a friend who came to me, and this is actually a good segue to talk about like how as a small business owner you can use Cameo.
Yeah.
So my friend came to me and he's like, I'm doing this new thing that's working really well for the business. We had a couple folks, we went on Cameo, we had some celebrities that we thought our customers would care about, and we picked them. And we had that celebrity say something about the business or there's something cool about the business, shout out the business, endorse the business. We took those videos and then we ran some advertising to them. We shared them with our audience, and those are our highest performing ads. It has cut our ad spend in half. So we now have to spend half of the amount that we were before, and like they're running. And what we did with the targeting was like we already have targeting that we know works for our audience. Like they're interested in this and they're interested in that. But then we added one more layer of targeting, which is, and they're also interested in this celebrity, so we can like really get people who are interested in that person. And it's just like working really well.
We see this all the time. This is Cameo for Business, the enterprise side of it. So you can go to our 60,000 athletes, actors, celebrities on the platform. You as a brand can put in, filter and find exactly the type of people that influence the demo you're looking to. Or you can now even publish it broadly to everybody. And you can let talent raise their hand and say like, hey, I want to do it. I'm interested in that product. And there's so many funny stories about this. Like Kenny G is one of our investors, and he came and did a fireside chat with me during our Cameo Palooza, like our all-team week in Chicago. And the giveaway we had that year was a pair of Viore shorts that said like Cameo Palooza on them. And he called me like a week later. He's like, Steven, I love this brand. Like if there's ever a Viore opportunity, like let me know. Like I would just do it for product, right? And he charges $40,000 for like a brand spot like that. And he's like, I would do it for free for some shorts. So that's the type of thing that we want to make sure that the brands know. Are there people out there that are already diehards of your product that you didn't know about it? And how do we match you?
If you were launching a new brand today, so brand new company, and you can't hire a PR person, how would you use Cameo itself as your PR strategy?
So the thing that's cool, about 18 months ago, we opened the platform up. So we rolled out this, but basically new onboarding policy that we broadly call Cameo X.
Okay.
So everyone in the world can be on Cameo now. Like any of your listeners, you can have, like anybody can have an account. So just like TikTok,
for them to create videos on
just like TikTok or Instagram. What's really interesting about that is that's now led to like a lot of really long tail, creators that have come on the platform that, maybe for $10 they would do a business video, or $50 or $100, right? As opposed to tens of thousands from like a face. And that's one of the really cool things. Like you could go book a bunch of these people and it costs you almost nothing from the content creation side. And, and then these people are really excited to, even have a brand deal. So, that's a way that you could do it. Secondly, I think it's just finding, if you have someone on Cameo that loves your brand or likes things similar, it's an awesome way through Cameo for Business to get that word out.
That's a really interesting thing too, because if you don't love being the face of the brand and creating all the social media content yourself, and if you're a small team and you're the only one to do that, you can maybe go on Cameo X to get people who are not necessarily like huge celebrities, but people to generate content for like around topics on your brand that you can then use on social media. Is that what you're saying? Okay. So much of getting press coverage for your business is like putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And when you put yourself out there, you get yeses and you get nos. What is an example of a yes that you got where you're like, whoa, I can't believe they actually said yes?
This ended up not happening because of COVID and George Floyd. It all happened like the same, like literally this happened the week of George Floyd.
Okay.
We wanted to have create this like massive brand moment for selling our millionth Cameo of all time.
Wow.
And we wanted to create like a Willy Wonka, like golden ticket style competition.
Yes.
So the idea,
I love a fantasy campaign.
So we put this out to the team and we're basically like, hey, what is the craziest thing we could do to celebrate our millionth Cameo? And all these, people, they're like, oh, we should, do this, do that. And then Arthur Leopold, our COO at the time, I remember, sent this message out. He's like, we should send someone to space. And it's like, okay, that's pretty crazy. So we start like running down this idea, and the idea was whoever received the 100th Cameo, they would get to pick any talent from Cameo to go, and we'd send the two of them and someone they're picking to go to space together on Virgin Galactic.
Okay.
So at that point, we call up the Virgin Galactic team. They love this idea.
Were you thinking you were going to pay up Virgin Galactic for this, or they're going to partner?
No, we were gonna pay for it, but they were going to also promote it globally across all of their PR channels.
Okay.
Which would have been a really big, moment for us, especially as we were building international out by that. And it turned out like, I don't know if you remember this weekend. This was literally the weekend of when George Floyd got murdered. The U.S. was going to send astronauts back to space for the first time since the space shuttle went away. And it was on SpaceX. And everybody was watching it. So the big thing was we wanted to make sure that the rocket actually didn't blow up before we're spending all this money to send someone to space. Yeah. Otherwise, people would have been like,
negative PR. Yeah.
So basically what happened was there kept being these weather delays. So it didn't end up happening until the Saturday after George Floyd, and we were supposed to launch this on Monday. And then obviously, with everything that happened, we made the decision, hey, you know what, this is a cool idea, but it is not the time or place to do that right now.
Yeah.
So we backed off, and instead what we did, we took that same amount of money and we gave $1 million bonus to our team to celebrate the $1 million. So everybody got $8,600 as a bonus that worked at the company. And I told them, if you want to donate, you can either keep this, if you want to pay your rent or buy a desk, or if you want to donate to a cause of your choice, obviously there's so many different causes coming up after George Floyd. I'm like, I'll match personally anything that you guys want to put in. So that was a way that we had this huge PR moment that we had to pivot quickly, and then we turned it into, rolling out the red carpet for our team.
I want to double click on something that you said at the beginning of this story, because I'm grabbing this. I'm going to use this for myself.
Yeah.
You said, I asked my team, what is the craziest thing we could do to celebrate X? And that framing of how you think about advertising and marketing your business. What is the craziest thing we could do to celebrate X? First of all, just knowing myself, whenever there's an accomplishment in my business, I move right past it.
Right.
And that's my inclination to keep going. So first of all, to stop and let's celebrate it. And then second, what's the big crazy thing we can do that not only works as celebrating it just for fun, but also that promotes and pushes the business forward? I'm gonna grab that as a prompt.
You hire amazing people, and you should, I think the best ideas so often come from, hey, did you ever think about this? And that's actually back to our return to office thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted people back in the office, because so many of the best moments we've ever had at Cameo happen because somebody tapped me on the shoulder, in the bathroom, and they're like, hey, have you thought about this? Or they grab me at lunch or by the water cooler.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that for a business like ours that needs to move at the speed of pop culture, we can't afford to, I sent you a Slack message and my EA finds 15 minutes for us 2 weeks from now. Then you miss it.
There is a nuance here that I'm learning and picking up on from you about just how your PR brain works. Because it's what benefits the team, what benefits the company, and also, there's an and also in there that I'm learning. But maybe you take that for granted. I don't know if you see that in yourself, that something's got to work in both ways.
It was everything about Cameo, how we built it, was very deliberate. There's a book called Play Bigger that I love, and it's all about, it's called category creation. It's basically the whole idea of the most valuable companies are the ones that become the Kleenex of their space. And, from naming to getting the distribution out, it just this is everything that we do is super, super thoughtful. So for us, with Cameo, our flywheel has always been talent come on the platform. They tell their fans they're on. We've created a link, the whole link in bio thing. We were the first, we're not one of those Linktree type companies, but we were the first ones to tell them, hey, you've got this real estate on your Instagram, cameo.com/Snoop, people can go right to your page and book you, so we would go do that. And then there was a watermark on the video. So I'd buy you a Cameo, you'd share it in a group chat, you'd share it on Instagram, you'd share it on TikTok, and all these, your friends would see it, and every Cameo becomes a commercial for the next one. But one really interesting kind of nuanced part of our PR journey is I waited 2 years to even tell the Cameo story. which was kind of interesting. I knew that like we launched, we'd been around, we'd had a couple hundred people on the platform at the time, but it turned out like right after Dennis Rodman joined, that kind of felt like the perfect time, like, okay, let's go. Because then people had like a bold name to write about. Mm-hmm. And I remember that the first time like we went viral, it was like Chicago for $200, this Chicago startup can help you wish a happy birthday from Dennis Rodman. Yeah. Right. And it's like, and then that was such a provocative headline that got picked up all over the place. So many times, like there might be a story you want to tell, but like you got to wait for the right moment. And even Cameo X, something that we started talking about December of this past December. We actually rolled it out in May 2023. But we just like for a variety of reasons we're like, hey, because then what I could do a year later, it wasn't just that we launched this. It's like we launched this and oh, by the way, there's this puppet, Mona, who made $700,000 on Cameo in the last year that would not have been on other than this policy.
Which goes to show you, too, that, like, when you launch something, sometimes people think that's the only window you have to actually publicize it. And I'm hearing you say that, like, after you launch something, there's these little micro moments that happen related to that thing that you can use and push the story as well.
Totally. Yeah. And then, sometimes there's things that happen that are completely out of your control. So the two most viral cameos of all time, number one was when Smokey Robinson was wishing somebody happy Chanukah, because he mispronounced Hanukkah, and this thing just went like insanely viral. There were 2 separate weeks of SNL skits about Chanukah. Wow. The first of which they were making fun of it, then the second of which they brought him on. So like, what an incredible brand moment for us. Yeah. And then another one that I'll never forget was Mark McGrath, the lead singer of Sugar Ray. Mm-hmm. Somebody booked him to break up with their boyfriend, and he sent one of my favorite tweets I've ever seen out after this. So she posts the video, it goes super viral. It happened that happened the same day of the first Trump impeachment hearing. And Mark McGrath was trending over Donald Trump that day. Wow. Because so many people were sharing this video. And he put this tweet out. He goes, took a nap, woke up, it was 1999 all over again. So that's the thing. It's like every cameo has the potential to go viral. And that's why we always say we'd rather sell $1 million $1 cameos than $1 million cameo, because it's not just about that video or how much money gets made, but it's all about like the multiplier effect and how many people see it and is the content good enough to share.
Okay, I have a last question for you.
Yes.
What is a big PR move that you would like to make in the future? It's cooking in your head, but you've not yet done.
Yeah, so the fun one that I've been having my team play around with, I want to create a Cameo Hall of Fame. Okay. Like we have certain talent that have just done so well on the platform. And I'd like to this summer formally launch the Cameo Hall of Fame and have this be a moment where like the talent come to Chicago and they like, they give their speech and people come and you do a dinner for them. And I just think that would be a really cool, buzzworthy thing. Imagine like people like Brett Favre and Brian Baumgartner and Sonia Moore, like they're all from different walks of life and people like different people, but like that's one that I think could be kind of cool.
Interesting. So that's sort of like you're hosting an event. Yeah. And it's almost like your own awards show.
Exactly.
Of event. Yeah. And even if, for example, you run a business that's not Cameo, so you don't have celebrities, you could even do this like with your own customers, right? And like Hall of Fame of like the customers that have been successful with you, or customers that are like using your product or most commonly using your product, frequent purchasers, and create something like this too. I'm kind of like taking what you're saying and translating for how that would work. That's a really cool idea. Okay. Yeah. We want to see it when you do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll invite you guys. We can maybe we'll do a live podcast from Cameo office that week at Cameo Hall of Fame week.
Beautiful. Steven, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been really helpful and fun.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.